when you are either in a live setting so that you are able to see the reaction of the person you're speaking to or your audience, then you can learn how to use that intuition in the moment and be able to pivot the story if necessary.
Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success. Welcome, everyone, to our newest episode. We're thrilled to have you here, and we are also thrilled to have Jaycie Cormac. She is a Rebel Soul coach, so I can't wait to hear more about that. So welcome, Jaycie, to the program. Nice to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here today.
Perfect. Yay, we are too. So talk to us about what is a Rebel Soul coach and how did you become one?
I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18 and I am almost 54. So long time. My first company had nothing to do with, it had to do with being on stage because I was a dancer and a gymnast, and my first company was a dance studio. And I always really encouraged my students to stand out and be themselves. I taught mostly girls, of course, now that are grown women, but of course, some young men too. And that was always at the forefront of what I did. I taught so much more than just dance steps or how to do a cartwheel. It was about being who you truly freaking are and being brave enough to put that persona and that person out in front of other people, obviously on stage. So over the years, I've had different companies, but in 2014, I founded an international book award contest and coached authors all over the world. And again, that's about getting your voice heard, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, and how to market that. And yet with all of that, time and time again, I have allowed myself to slide into that, ooh, we fit in this box and keep everybody, but just to keep everybody a little happier in the way that you're being. And a few years ago, I hit 50 years old, and it was like that day I said, nope, no more. And so, of course, when I rebranded my company, I dropped the F-bomb in the name of my company for that matter. And I'm just not afraid to be exactly who I am and shine that bright light. Now, the soul aspect of it comes from the fact that I have always been very deeply in tune with my spirituality and connection to premonition and precognitive dreams and my guides and things that I certainly didn't understand when I was a little girl, right? But my education, my graduate education is all in psychology and transpersonal psychology. So now I just apply that to everything and eventually merged all of that together. So I also teach intuitive storytelling.
Ooh, intuitive storytelling. I love that. Tell me a little more about that.
So we all know that, or if we've been in business for any length of time, we know that storytelling is one of the strongest ways to connect with your ideal clients. Or if you're giving a presentation, or whether it's, or being on a podcast, but being able to tell a story that relates to your people and leave out all the junk that no one else really cares about. And that, y'all, is coming from an ADHD person that can ramble and lose you and jump off to this path and that one, right? But when you are in a certain setting, you have to know how to tell stories that relate. When you are creating those stories and figuring out which stories to share, when we apply your intuition, your inner knowing, it changes which stories you may tell. Instead of saying, Sally over here said that this is the story that I need to tell, and this is the type of story I need to tell. No, we dive into what you feel. And for those of my clients and members that dive into the signs and the synchronicities and learn that, we also start paying attention to those. And it helps them figure out which stories and which aspects of those stories they should tell. Now, I have to say this too, when you are either in a live setting so that you are able to see the reaction of the person you're speaking to or your audience, then you can learn how to use that intuition in the moment and be able to pivot the story if necessary.
Yeah, it's so funny. You're so right. I love speaking in person because I can see their reaction. Like you said, people nodding and smiling, or if they're looking away, you try and come up with something to bring them back in. It's very difficult to do videos when it's just you looking at camera and hoping that things are landing with people.
It is. It's much more challenging. And a lot of people are intimidated by being on camera. Or we all know being on stage and public speaking, about 75% of people have a fear of public speaking. Now, not maybe the excessive where you're paralyzed with fear, but it's an excessive amount of people that do have a feeling of speaking in front of others.
What would you recommend to them?
One, find the story that you are able to tell, that you're so comfortable telling, a story or content, depending on what you're speaking about, that you know inside, out, backwards, forwards, upside down, no matter what. You can tell it in any freaking way because you know it that well. For many people, that is practicing it over and over, which is a very common practice to implement, right? But I'm not one to follow a script. So it depends on my clients. If they need to practice a script, okay. I encourage you not to, if at all possible, know your shiznit and know it so well, and then follow the flow with intuition. But it's facial expressions, it's body language, it is tone, it is pacing, it is certain accents on certain words, knowing how to do it, how to make the emphasis. So it's not just about knowing the story, it's about the speaking and the delivery too.
Yeah, I love that. We teach video marketing. It's hard for people who aren't used to that. They always want to have a script. And I like to have a script, but I've found that I'm better with more of an outline than a script. Or if it's a script, just make sure that I've bolded the parts that I really want to talk about so I can remember those. Typically, it comes out different every single time. And that's okay.
Which is some of the most exciting parts, because then those people that love you and want to hear it again, they get to hear you again, and it's not the same exact thing. And they go, oh, she said it differently that time. So that can make it interesting as well. But yes, I love that. An outline, bullet points, I'm totally fine with that myself. But it does take practice, especially if you're someone that can get off topic or get really excited about something. It takes practice. I've been on stage almost 50 years, because I was on stage, at 4, 5, 6 years old, something like that. So we're pushing 50 years of being on stage for me. But I wasn't comfortable speaking on stage until I was probably a teenager. I was paralyzed with speaking on stage.
Like you said, I think most people are. And it's interesting too, when we were first, my business partner and I, Kirsten, when we were first doing recording webinars and doing speaking engagements and things, I would often repeat myself, or I would repeat what she said, just because that was easy and comfortable. And that's where we were at the moment. So I had to train myself not to do that. And I'm still a kind of person. I do a lot of umming, but thankfully we have some great video and audio editing software that takes that out. But in person.
So I was just going to bring that up. So it's funny you said that. The ums, when you feel one coming on and you start to say it, pause. Leave the space empty instead. When you don't fill it so full of words, the individuals, the audience, actually then has time to process what you were saying. They don't even have time to process what all you said, so they can't remember it all.
Yeah, that's great advice. I've heard that, but I don't always catch myself, because your mind's always thinking a few steps ahead. So I'm already thinking what I'm going to say 2 steps ahead, and I don't realize but that is great advice. And I think sometimes people can record themselves and then watch it back and maybe practice it without the ums.
There are really cool ways to go about that. So you can pay attention to the ums. Mind you, I'm not an advocate. Sorry, Toastmasters, but I'm not an advocate of Toastmasters because they count your ums and they do. And there's then this sense of, oh man, I said so many times, or I said, right? Those are some I have to be mindful of. Or I say, and you want to be comfortable with who you are. I'm a fast talker, so try to slow down. Or if you're someone that talks really slow, you may need to speed up. It depends on the situation.
So tell us a little bit about how you work with your clients, and then tell us maybe about some of your clients that came to you with a problem, whether that was speaking or storytelling or not being able to stand up to who they were, and how you helped them through that.
So the biggest thing that I have put focus on this year, I say this year, 2024, with my rebrand, was to build out the membership, which is my Rebel Soul VIP Inner Circle. So it's really, truly an inexpensive way for people to get access to me, but it's still a group setting. And I focus on the soul of your business. So soul, of course, is an acronym, and those are the 4 pillars that I focus on: spiritual growth, outstanding storytelling and speaking, unique spiritual perspectives and lead with impact. So that is my main focus. And then I do power days or power weekends or whatever it might be, which we all call pretty much in the coaching industry VIP days. I just wanted to be different and call it a power day. That gets to that one-on-one where we can take a much deeper dive. Now, I still do have one-on-one clients. That's not my push. My main focus is to get everybody in the group setting because I love those group environments. We really work on whatever their spiritual growth is, and it's not one way or the other. That's where the unique spiritual perspectives come in. It's different. We do talk about numerology. We do talk about dream work and signs and synchronicities, but I am not one to say that there's one exact method or one exact meaning for seeing 33 over and over, right? Or whatever it is. Because you need to build a language and a set of symbols, if you will, or some symbolism with universe, source, whatever you want to call it, that helps you, that makes sense to you. So there's that. Obviously, the storytelling, as we've talked about, and how to speak in a way that makes that bigger impact. And then being able to lead with impact. Being a sustainable leader is not like being a boss. Right? It's getting down in the trenches with people. But leading with impact is finding that sustainability in leadership so that you're down in the trenches with those that you are leading. It is being able to be vulnerable because there is tremendous power in vulnerability. Anybody that's listened to Brené Brown knows that, but there is great power in vulnerability. And when you show that, people know you're authentic versus, as I like to share the analogy of the dude down at the used car lot with this 1970s leisure suit on. I'm a 70s baby. His leisure suit and his chest hair sticking out and his gold chains and his colognes going everywhere. And you're like, ah, and his big push broom mustache. And he's like, I got this caddy over here with 3 good tires. But we don't want that. We want real people. We want authenticity from people now, right? We know that's used car salesman Steve. No offense to anyone named Steve. We want real things. So when we do that as leaders, then our people respect us more, they trust us more, and they will not only follow, but they can lead alongside us and they can lead their own people. So when we're coaching, depending on who we coach, but I coach leaders. So when you're coaching them, you have to help them become strong leaders too.
Yeah, I love that. It has to do with confidence in who you are and being confident to stand up and to be vulnerable. I think especially for people that are like, no offense, our age, who didn't
Right.
grow up on necessarily on social media, sometimes it's very difficult to put things out there that are raw or that are real or that touch something inside you that you don't necessarily want to put out there and make you self-confident. It's interesting. What would you say to those people?
As you say it, the first thing that comes into my head is how I often use the analogy, having been a dancer and been on stage. Anyone that's ever been in theater, we train, we practice, we rehearse like crazy in the studio or wherever. And then you're still doing it in the wings and you have this heavy stage makeup on. And for the most part, you're performing someone else's music or choreography. It's most often not your own. So when you get that opportunity to step out and show who you are, yes, it's tougher. It's scary because people will judge you. But here's what I would say. And I've always been a rebel. I always buck authority just a little bit, if not a lot. When you are truly who you are, and I'm the chick that knows everybody at the grocery store and walks in going, hello to all my friends, loud, I don't care. You will attract the people that are just in awe of your light and awe of your energy. Yours doesn't have to be as big and vivacious as mine, for heaven's sakes, but you will attract the people that resonate with you on your vibration. And you will repel those that are not a good fit, not just for you in your personal life, but obviously for you in your business. If you are bringing in the wrong clients, they are not going to have the right good success, and you are not going to be happy working with them. I've fired clients in my past. Don't be afraid to let clients go, turn them away from the beginning, or fire them, if you will, whenever. It's okay.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I had clients who I kept for too long and they end up draining your energy. They end up taking up too much of your time and they don't inspire you. Get better and find more people that you can help. So that's great. Great advice. So tell us a little bit about one of your clients and they came to you in a certain situation and how you helped them through.
It's so hard to pick just one. There's two that come to mind. One of my clients reached out to me years, to be honest, after I'd worked with her. And she said to me, this just came up recently, and I hadn't spoken to her privately in years, but she reached out and she said, because of you, and I don't remember the exact words, but because of my playful, big personality, but yet my ability to create a safe space within the group setting that she had been in. I worked with her one-on-one as well as within group. But that safe space, her words were, it saved her life, which blew me away. But it was because it allowed her to have a space to share the deepest parts of herself with a coach. And with what so often I hear from my clients is that when I bring those groups together, they feel like a family, not a dysfunctional one, but it feels like family. It's a safe, comfortable community. That transformation, it gave her confidence. It gave her a space to come into my world and step out of her own in the personal aspects of her life that were such a struggle at that time, to step into my world and work on what she wanted to do in the world, the transformation she was trying to make that direction with her career, but also what it did for her personally, because she did gain her confidence. She was able to laugh as well, but to laugh at herself, know to never give up, and to learn to really trust that inner knowing. That was a huge one for me.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why I love coaching and coaches so much, is because there are so many talents that you can bring out in people. And sometimes they need someone there to hold them accountable, to tell them that they're strong, to tell them that they have something to give. Because I think sometimes, especially solo, you work a lot by yourself. And now that we're all online, we're even more by ourselves. Oftentimes we're just talking to a computer. And so it can get a little bit lonely. And sometimes I think you get those questions in your mind and you go around and, should I do this? Yes, I should. No, I shouldn't. Should I do that? And you just need somebody to, I don't know, hold your back up a little bit straight and tell you that, what does your intuition say? What does your body say?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm not shy about the fact that to this day, I do Instacart, which is personal grocery shopping for other people, right? Those in the United States, a lot of people know what it is, know what Instacart is. But I did it this morning because I love the social interaction. It fulfills my social butterfly. They're like coworkers, even though I'm contracted for that. And yet here I am with clients all over the world, which is a completely different world. All my friends there know, but it's still such a fun thing for me to go do. And I have customers that I love going and seeing. So when we find a community, whatever it might be, we should do that. And my other client that I was thinking of very quickly, which is a current client, but she is very in tune already with her spirituality, with guides, and gets information, and you could call it psychic information and so forth. But to have someone, she'll reach out to me sometimes and say, this and this happened. And then she'll be like, oh, thank goodness I have you as a coach, because you get it. You know what I'm saying. You don't think I'm crazy. You just understand. And I'm like, yes. So there's the sign. Now let's apply it to X, Y, and Z for your business and what you're doing with it. But she knows that she can share that with me, or I can say, hey, go ask for this and this from your guides, and she'll do it. And then the information will come through. It's amazing and it's beautiful. And the other thing that she had said to me too is because her family is not understanding of what she does, or she had, until she started working with me, she had just really been, I don't want to say beat down, but that's the phrase that's in my head, to believe that she didn't have a story or a message to share. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, you do. Hers is very powerful and profound, and she's very needed in our world. So yes, those things are, it's vital. And all of us, I have a coach. We all need coaches. I'm adamant about that as well.
Yep, totally. Couldn't agree more. Jaycie, tell people how they can reach out to you if they want to find out more about you, more about your group coaching, more about your one-on-one coaching.
If you will put the link in the show notes, because it does have the F word in my website. So we're not going to probably say it because unless you're running this as explicit, I probably can't say it. It's Rebel. I could spell it. Rebel Soul, FUCKERY.com. But I don't want to do something inappropriate for your show. Obviously, I am very bold and not afraid to be exactly who I am. If you go to that website, then you will be able to, in the menu, it talks about the VIP Inner Circle. I do have a community that is on Facebook that is the same name. Of course, it has an asterisk instead of a U to be appropriate with Facebook. But that is just a free community I have there. That's a fabulous way. It's a super great way to hop in and really just see how everything works. And there's a ton of content and a library that's getting built consistently. And then for those that really, I really want some one-on-one time with Jaycie, then yes, like I said, I do the power days or a power weekend, if you will.
Fantastic. So last question for you. If you could provide one tip to make the world a better place, what would that be?
And as you and I talked about this before we recorded today, the first thing I would say, and it's twofold, so I'll wrap it up with the second piece of it. But the first thing is, everyone you encounter, try to walk away from them by leaving a smile on their face. When you walk away, they should be in a better energy than when you walked up to them. Even if you are in the yuckiest space yourself, try to find it within you to lift them up. Because when you do, you're going to laugh, you're going to be happier, you're going to feel better. Yeah, it changes your energy, which attracts all the amazing things that can happen in this world to you.
I love that. Thank you, Jaycie, for bringing your energy to our show today. This has been so much fun. And I think you've given people loads of information as well as tips and things. And we look forward to having you back. So thank you, Jaycie.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today on Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights. We hope you're leaving this episode with inspiration to take your coaching business and your life to the next level. If you found value in this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and share it with someone else who you think might benefit from hearing it. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.